This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 3. It is VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross here, downtown Las Vegas at Circus Sports. He is our closer. Jensen Lewis back home in Cleveland, Ohio this hour. Kenny Rice is going to join us from NBC Sports to help break down the ponies as we get ready for the running of the Roses. Can you believe it? Cannot believe it's going to be here on Saturday. That's going to be a lot of fun. But without further ado, let's begin hour number 3 by asking a very simple question. Is it news or is it noise?
Is it news?
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
Or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise. This is noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
They say everything is bigger in Texas, Jensen Lewis. Oh, Sark was so close last year for Texas. Hook 'em to win the national championship. Didn't get it done. Ohio State is your reigning defending national champions. But Texas, it's not because of money, Jensen. The Longhorns, reportedly, are going to pay between $35 to $45 million in NIL this upcoming season. That, my friend, that's not for the entire athletic program. That's for the football roster. That includes $20.5 million in revenue sharing, plus the money collected from the Texas One Fund. Is that news or is it noise?
Well, I guess it's news on the heels of, remember we heard everything about Ohio State spending upwards of $20 million on just their football roster last year. And the big stink was, okay, you spend all that money and you can't even beat Michigan, let alone can you get the national title game? Oh, hey, they answered all that. Ryan Day is vindicated. Here we go. Is that where it's going to be for Sark this year and the Longhorns? I think the bigger picture is, does this when are we officially done with amateurism? Because
sure,
I mean, this is basically it. We now have free agency in college athletics. And from the overall market standpoint, like we were just talking about certain long shots for the college football playoff. I think that's probably more the issue here is, yes, we got expanded postseason, but when we're seeing those double-digit spreads in, those first-round games, and do we really have a close game? We really didn't. Is that really going to affect, some of these other teams that, are even farther down in the SEC, farther down in the Big Ten? Notre Dame is an outlier because it's Notre Dame as far as football goes. I'm thinking of Louisville. I'm thinking of SMU. All these other clubs that are going to come in as far as football programs. How do you compete? How do you get these teams? Unless there are guardrails, Dave, where you got to pool all the money and you have regulations. I know they're talking about revenue share. Hey, yeah, there are teams, there are good programs and fan bases are going to root like hell against Texas, even getting to the national title game, just to say, you spent all this money and you still couldn't win it.
We're going to double up Ohio State what they paid last year. Of course, Ohio State got them last year, 28-14. They're going to open up the season with Ohio State. Feels like there's a lot of Ohio State tentacles here to what Texas is doing after losing to Ohio State last year in the college football playoffs. Now, I'm looking at some of these futures numbers for Texas, and tell me which one you'd rather play if you had to play it here on May 1st. You can play Texas, win total over 10.5. Remember, we're going to spend $45 million, up to $45 million on just the football roster. Over 10.5, you can get plus money, plus $1.40. You can play Texas to win the national championship. And again, that's going to be the second shortest shot on the board at plus 550. Or we can just get our revenge in one game. You can play Texas on the money line at plus $1.20 to beat Ohio State in that rematch to begin college football on August 30th.
Boy, I mean, coming into the shoe, you get all that time to prepare. Technically a new quarterback for Texas and Arch Manning, but really not because he played last year. Julian Sayin will be new for Ohio State. Completely revamped offense, if you will, because a lot of the skill position guys outside of Jeremiah Smith are gone. I would rather play the money line price, and that's as an Ohio State fan. Like I would have more confidence in Sark and the boys coming in as a group that's kind of already played together offensively. And if you're going into hostile territory, that's what you need. Let me throw this out to you on just the opponents here.
Okay.
So after Ohio State, Texas has San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. They go to Florida, which would be a nice early SEC test for them.
Okay.
Home against, technically home against Oklahoma, the Red River Shootout, or used to be the Cotton Bowl. At Kentucky, at Mississippi State, home against my Vanderbilt Commodores, at Georgia. He's a showdown between the hedges.
Okay.
And then home against Arkansas and home against A&M. They should handle business early, but man, that final stanza, I'm sorry, man, you're gonna have some problems with a couple of those teams.
And I'm with you. I think out of the options I gave you, Jensen, on the would you rather, I'd rather play Texas plus $1.20. You can take the 3 points if you want and lay the $1.10. But that schedule, it feels trappy to play the over at plus money at plus $1.40, right? Because again, can we bookmark one of the two biggies against Georgia and Ohio State? Not so fast. You can easily lose both those games. And if you do, that 10.5 is going to get real squeaky there early in the season. So again, it's kind of built into the cake that as 3-point dogs, that's why you're seeing that number set for where it is for Texas at 10.5. Let me ask you this, too, because all the talk's been about Bill Belichick, UNC. We've talked about it here. Now we got a he said with CBS. And was it on the table? Could we ask about the girlfriend? Bill says it was off the table. CBS says it was on the table. They're 100-1 to win the national championship. UNC is 100-1 to win the title. What should realistically that number be in your eye?
Probably 500-1.
Absolutely.
It just, again, what do we trust from a continuity standpoint? Like I'm thinking about this from the athlete standpoint. Like and I told you this all week, I don't want to be answering questions about my head coach and his personal relationships. I want to be answering questions about the opponent we're playing. And what our year is like. That should be it. And I don't think that's the case. And it's even in the prevailing weeks and months leading up to, the eventual practices and the summer workouts and getting into the weeks before their schedule. That's all that's going to be talked about. Even if this goes away, Dave, and it doesn't look like it's going to, you just have too many things hanging over the program right now that will lean against focus and what the objective is, and that's to win football games. So I would say under on everything for North Carolina.
Just stow this away for food for thought, because they're going to play TCU in week number 1 on September 1st. They're 2.5-point favorites against TCU. 2.5-point favorites in Chapel Hill. TCU is 250 to 1 to win the national championship. So we talk about identifying good numbers. That's a terrible number to play at 100 to 1 when you're 2.5-point favorites at home against a team that's 250 to 1 to win the national championship. So again, those numbers are not adding up here as to they should be closer to, I'm with you, at least 250, if not 300 to 500 to 1 to win the national championship. And again, for journalism's sake, if you had the agreement, then you shouldn't have asked the question. If you didn't have the agreement, then the question is fair. We don't know. We're getting two different stories from those people. But the fact that that's what we're talking about, and not talking about UNC to win the ACC, UNC is in a long shot, 100 to 1, tells you everything you need to know and why this has probably not been the best news cycle here for Bill Belichick in North Carolina. But again, all eyes will be on them against TCU. It's going to be amazing when we get there September 1st, how much attention that game will take. Cannot wait to see what that looks like. But again, 2.5-point favorites against a team that's 250 to 1 to win the national championship. Do that math there as well. Very quickly, let's get back to the NBA tonight, because we do have some games of consequence and potential closeouts here. The Knicks can close out the Pistons. They're 1.5-point dogs. And the Nuggets can close out the Clippers. They're 6.5-point dogs there. Out of those two road potentials to win, obviously the shorter shot of the Knicks. But are we discounting the Nuggets? And I feel that might be dangerous. I know the Clippers aren't, but maybe the betting market is.
Yeah, so if we look at just kind of where the splits in the data are overall, Nuggets down to 6.5 here for DraftKings, still 58% of the money, 73% of the bets. So the public feeling like this one could be closer than the experts think. The total in and of itself, the money's about even, just a smidge onto the over 211.5 now. Remember earlier in the show, we were talking about how that money leaned towards the under. That's now almost come even. So some money coming back on the over. You're getting 7 there at Circa, so you're getting better the number if that's the side you want to go to. Again, I just go to what we looked at with Houston last night. Is they will have the urgency. I do believe the Clippers do as well to continue this. And it's just a matter of how much resource or how many resources from a starting standpoint do you want to expend if you're Denver. If this thing's close, like you would go back home for game 7, but I just feel like you'd want to end this thing clean and clear and just be able to take care of business tonight.
With you on that. And again, Knicks 212.5 dogs right now in Detroit. And if they don't get it done tonight there, you go back to the world's most famous arena for game 7. We're talking about Toronto and hockey. That could be nervous energy there if they can't get this thing done here in Detroit tonight. The betting splits, if you've not had access to them, you can, just like we have here at the network. You can do it just for $59. This is with a VSiN Pro subscription. It's going to cover you all the way through August 1st when you go to VSiN.com/subscribe. So it's not just Circa, it's also DraftKings, all those numbers that Jensen was just alluding to right there. You can have access to those as well when you become a VSiN Pro subscriber for just $59 through August 1st. My boy Jesse Meyer chimed in from Virginia Beach, Jensen. He said Syracuse to win the ACC at 70-1. What a homer. That's the way Virginia Tech Hokies think. They're like, don't forget about us Hokies back here in the ACC as well. You kind of like Louisville, maybe at 90-1, right?
Miller Moss
Yeah.
transfer over, be the quarterback there. So, hey, stranger things have happened in that conference, that's for sure.
We like the longer numbers. We'll break down some fights next.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. We're going to catch up with Kenny Rice in the next segment from NBC Sports. Cannot wait to catch up with Kenny, talking all things Kentucky Derby coming up on Saturday. That's going to be a lot of fun. We do have some action going on here. We're going to get to the UFC card in 1 second, but we are underway down there in Texas for the CJ Cup. Byron Nelson is underway. And Kelly Bidlin just walked in getting ready for his show coming up here in a numbers game with Gil Alexander. And I said, Kelly, you've been on fire. The Long Shots crew's been on fire as well. Who do you like? And he's like, I haven't even looked yet. Kind of like Sami Malavaki. Got him in pocket. Didn't see how he's doing. He's one off the lead. So Sami Malavaki getting off to a good start here for Kelly, 1 under through 5. Bryce Garnett is the leader right now at 2 under par. He's out through 3. But what we're seeing here early on, Jensen, is not a lot of guys. We've got about 9 guys right now under par. Only 1 guy at 2 under, as I mentioned, in Garnett. But you're seeing a lot of +1s, a lot of +2s, and even a +3 here from Grayson Sigg. I'll be curious to see how the course plays, because we were expecting this to be a real, you got to get to 20 under par, and maybe that will still be. But right now, maybe playing a little bit harder with the conditions down there than maybe what we thought at first blush. You've got some plays as well, too, right?
Yeah, so I'm seeing in the cup maker, Jeff Seeley was great. And if you subscribe to him, you got some really outstanding information. So I mentioned to you the winner without markets. Maybe the play is just knowing that Scotty was so ridiculously low, almost to Tiger levels of where he was in the outright.
Yep.
A couple of guys, Rico Hoey was a guy that he had circled. I know he's even par, tied for 10th right now. Jake Knapp was a guy we talked with Wes Reynolds about yesterday that he really liked. He was going off at 40-1 in the winner withouts. I think also Sammy was a guy that Jeff Seeley had recommended. So nice little start there. A guy that Wes talked about, Steven Yeager,
yes,
right? -1, just 1 off the lead. Let's see what Sam Burns does. He was 30-1 at some places, has yet to tee off. So I know the weather was kind of bleh here leading up to the Byron. So anxious to see how these first couple of rounds play out.
And again, the guy everybody's going to be looking at, of course, is Scotty Scheffler. He's going to go off later with Siwoo Kim and Jordan Spieth. That will be in about 4 hours from now. So we'll see what the weather looks like, see what the leaderboard looks like. So again, if you want to look at it, let's say theoretically you get some rabbits to go out there and get to 4 or 5 under before Scotty tees off. Maybe you can get a slight adjustment in the marketplace there if you want to play Scotty. If he can get closer to 350, probably not, because the books don't give you a lot of discounts. But if somebody goes really low before he tees off, maybe you can get a little bit better number on Scotty if you're apt to bet him this week. Got a big card coming up. We'll talk a lot more about this tomorrow on the show here, but with the fight night coming up, Corey Sandhagen is a very interesting guy. I've had a lot of conversations with Corey through the years, and he's always been that guy that's been right on the doorstep of winning a championship in the bantamweight division. Deiveson Figueiredo is a former champion who has come up in weight, and the power has translated as well with Deiveson coming up. He's a big dog here to Corey at plus 380. And I can understand why Corey is a $5 betting favorite. It still feels a little bit heavy to me on that side. But Jensen, all the talk this week leading up to this fight is going to be Corey Sandhagen has said he uses AI to get on X and start verbal or end verbal spats. Because if you know Corey, and in my conversations with him, he's just a chill dude. He's a good dude. So it's almost like he's got to create a different persona out there to sell his fights, to get people interested. We've seen this before, by the way. And I hope he doesn't go, we've seen guys that maybe aren't the same guy on a mic than they are necessarily at home. But it is interesting that he feels like he needs AI to help him be a better you-know-what talker out there to get people interested in his fights. He's a great fighter. I don't need it to sell a Corey Sandhagen fight, but I think he feels like he needs that in order to create this new persona about him. Does that affect anything when you look at athletes that go, man, I don't know why people aren't talking enough about me, but maybe I need to be a little bit more of that, Conor McGregor type to get people interested in the way I fight?
He's the headliner here, and he's a $5 favorite. So I don't know what else he needs as far as hype to be like, hey, you're the man. The dynamic style. He's got high pace, never been knocked out. Right. I was looking. Me. I love the method of victory markets, and of course not going to lay $5 on him. Interested at all? Here was my lean, just kind of in my notes. Win by decision is minus $1.50 right now. And I know that the power on the other side of Figueiredo, again, this is a guy that can land him with the best of them. So am I handicapping that correctly?
Absolutely.
Thinking this goes the distance? Okay.
Well, again, and the totals right now are out for that main event, and normally they populate earlier in the week. Took a little bit longer to get there this week. Over 4.5, and is juiced to the over at minus 238. So that correlated play, and again, it's why I gave out last week, if you were on the Ian Machado Gary side, to play the by decision method. And that's exactly the way it got home, and that was at plus money. So if you can shorten that $5 favorite, $5.50 I'm seeing at DraftKings too, and get it down to $1.50, yes, I like it. The only danger in that this week, and again, we'll talk about this more in depth tomorrow too on the show, is he might feel he needs to get out of that comfort zone of kind of cruising to victory in order to get a title shot. And a fighter like Deiveson Figueiredo could be that type of guy that you could look to a finish against. Because the one problem, now is more of a problem for Deiveson at the lower weight class, is that sometimes his cardio can be an issue as a fight goes on. And so you could say, well, man, maybe Corey can get him out of there later. Davison's still tough as nails. We saw it in those classic fights at 125 with Brandon Moreno. Deiveson, of course, a former champion in that weight class. I would look to, if you wanted to back that you could get a finish here, a two-way possible handicap here is the under 4.5 at plus $1.80. What that gives you is the out of Figgy using his power to possibly do something we haven't seen done to Corey Sandhagen, and that's get a stoppage, and or if he gasses and can't get to Corey Sandhagen, that Corey's got 4.5 rounds to get that signature finish, whether it's a KO stoppage and or a submission. So you might be able to talk me into an underplay at plus $1.80, because I don't think Corey can just stand on the outside, win this fight easily by points. I don't know that that's going to do enough to say, yep, Sandhagen's right, ready, and deserved of a title shot here. at 135 pounds. Just some food for thought there as to why a finish could be potentially coming on the Sandhagen side, if not the Figgy side, at plus $1.80 for under 4.5 rounds. The RDR fight here with DeRitter going up against Bo Nickel is fascinating in the middleweight division. I just want the fight to go to the ground. And we got 3 rounds to work here in the middleweight division. It is juiced to the under, which should tell you a lot here at $1.25 that we expect to finish. But look, when you get a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy and a great wrestler like Bo Nickel, this is why mixed martial arts exists here, Jensen, is which style is better. Now, what happens sometimes is you get these great wrestlers and then they stand up and you get a 3-round striking match. That's why it's mixed martial arts. So we expect the fight to go to the ground. I want it to go to the ground, but if it does, I think RDR is really live at plus 260.
Okay, so my initial lean on it was Bo Nickel by decision, just knowing the wrestling is elite, right? And then this is the beauty, as you said, of a black belt jiu-jitsu, where you're like, okay, will it be the experience of RDR? He's 16-2 overall, I think. So the guy knows how to win. He's been through it. He's seen some things. Again, don't want any part of laying, minus 325 with Bo Nickel, but again, would submission, again, method of victory in my mind, submission from RDR be a path you'd want to go down?
If you're going to get it, I think that's how he would get it. The problem is Bo Nickel is such a physically imposing figure at the middleweight division, right? Can he really handle him on the ground? Now, look, submissions are different than grappling. So if you want to look to the Bo side, the problem there with submissions is he could posture up and look for a finish on the ground with ground and pound. So that's where that under could be in play here at 2.5 rounds. Hey, I don't know that I necessarily want to pick a winner, and I don't know that I want to back Bo Nickel at minus 325. He should be the favorite, obviously, right? But if the fight does go down to the ground, then we get that great jiu-jitsu against a great wrestler, minus $1.25, under 2.5 rounds. I think that might be a better price point to look at here if you're looking at finishes. Very quickly, I just want to mention that we have Miesha Tate back on this card here. And whenever you get Miesha Tate, one of the greatest champions we've seen, and I think she's a trailblazer, obviously, with the Ronda Rousey days, going back there and fighting and winning the belt when she beat Holly Holm. I attended that fight way back at UFC 196. She's a favorite against Yana Santos here at $1.42. That's Yana Kunitskaya. If you remember her, she's now taken the name Santos. That's going to be a classic fight right there. The over, it's heavily juiced, minus 395. If you like Miesha, look to her by decision and turn that small negative into a positive. Again, we'll break down this card in much more detail tomorrow. Kenny Rice is coming up next, talking all things Derby right here on VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here on a Thursday. Cannot wait for Saturday, the Kentucky Derby, the Running of the Roses. I just think even if you're not necessarily a horse racing fan, this is one that you just tune into across the country. Cannot wait to break it down here with our next guest. Joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line is Kenny Rice. Give him a follow on X at Kenny Rice Sports. Working his 24th Derby as a reporter on NBC Sports coverage of the 101st running of the Kentucky Derby this Saturday, 2:30 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. Kenny, great to have you on the program. You're already there, obviously, down there in Churchill Downs. What's it like on this Thursday as you get ready for Saturday? Is everything already kind of, again, is already in the barn here, or is there anything else for you to observe before we get to Saturday?
To be with you guys, and it's right now at the point where the barn door is still open, holding their breath. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time is the time you can scratch your horse from the Derby. And so until that, making that round will be very important. And even on Derby Day, a vet could scratch the horse depending on how it looked. We saw that a couple years ago. So until those horses really get on that track at Churchill on Saturday evening, I think everybody is still kind of holding a collective breath and saying a prayer or two.
Kenny, I know this will be NBC Sports milestone 25th presentation of the Derby, but it could be a milestone in the race itself from a speed factor. With the horses that are in right now, it could be shaping up to be one of the fastest paces we've had. I know Journalism will be the favorite come, post time tomorrow. How do you handicap it from the speed aspect and where some of the draws are for these horses involved?
Well, looking at the way it shapes up, I mean, with the speed that's down near the rail, East Avenue is going to be going, I think. Baffert's horse, Rodriguez, who won the Wood Memorial, is going to be going out there, I think, mainly to try to set more of a pace for his teammate, we'll say, who's on the rail in last year's two-year-old champ, Captain Bull. So I think those three are going to get out there. I think the pace is going to be really crisp. It might be, I don't know if they're going to burn it up, but what do you think? About a 22-plus first quarter, maybe coming down to about a 45 half, I would say. There's going to be enough speed that's going to set it up, I think, for those in the middle of the pack and those that are going to close. And as you mentioned, I think maybe the most versatile horse in this race is probably why he's the favorite. That would be Journalism. I mean, it sets up well for him, but it sets up for some good closers. I think this is going to be one of the great closing charges we're going to see in the Derby after this fast pace that I'm not sure who's going to hold up. Maybe Captain Bull might be the one that holds up that's out there quick early.
We're seeing 20-1 here in East Avenue for maybe some of those front runners there. You mentioned Journalism at 3-1. Sovereignty is the second betting choice right now at 5-1. Sandman at 6-1. Out of those other two behind Journalism and Sovereignty and Sandman for the single-digit odds before we get to the double-digit odds, which one of those two do you think might be able to press Journalism the most?
I think Sovereignty probably. I would go with Sovereignty on that. I think he'll do that. I think Sandman's pretty much a dead closer, as we saw him win the Arkansas Derby. I think he's going to be charged. I think Sovereignty will get into the mix a little quicker on Journalism than anybody else, and I think Sandman is going to be, the one Enter Sandman. That's what they named him after, the Metallica song. But Sandman will not be entering until probably around the quarter pole making a charge.
Kenny, this is one of those great opportunities as a bettor where if you don't pick the winner, you can still get into the exotic markets. And again, horses that you might want to put into exactas or superfectas, things of that nature, maybe box a horse here. I looked at Final Gambit, as one that you might be able to involve in some of the superfectas, maybe some of the other exotics, but also the 9-horse, Burnham Square. Give me a breakdown of those two horses and why they could be profitable maybe in some of the exotic markets.
Well, of those two, I'd lean a little bit toward Burnham Square. He just won the Bluegrass Stakes. If you go back to the winter in Florida, he was considered the hot horse. And he really just kind of took some time off. Things just weren't working out. There was no major decision, major reason for it. Ian Wilkes is a veteran trainer. He worked with Carl Nafsker, who won 2 Kentucky Derbies. Actually, Ian was the exercise rider in 1990 on this horse, Unbridled. And people that don't follow the racing might remember that classic scene that ABC Sports had of the trainer Carl Nafsker talking to the 90-some-year-old Francis Genter down the stretch, calling the race for her. But Burnham Square, to me, has come on really well. I give him a slight nod over Final Gambit, who's trained by Brad Cox, who's, one of the best trainers out there right now. And, Brad's been in his own, on his own kind of orbit here for about the last 5 or 6 years, winning Breeders' Cups, major races all over. So I think Burnham Square has a little more tactical speed probably to stay in this race. I don't think he's going to be up near the pace, but he's going to be making his move a little later, probably right about the time Sovereignty does. I think they're going to be close, and probably Gambit will be in that group too. So, those are two good ones to throw in, because when you start talking exotics, you got a 20-horse field. How many do you pick? Well, money management is the key, but you just about have to go 6 deep when you're talking about trifectas and superfectas, because there's no real standout, maybe 1-2 horses, and then you got a group of about 6, 7 that you can easily make a case for and not be too far off, at least for now, until they get to the starting gate.
Enjoying our conversation here with Kenny Rice from NBC Sports, breaking down the Kentucky Derby coming up on Saturday. And, Kenny, we always talk about it, certainly in baseball, we talk about the Triple Crown, these rarities in sports, certainly in horse racing. If Journalism is the 3-1 short shot to win this thing, can we project, do we potentially have a Triple Crown winner? And obviously it feels like that horse would be the best horse here if we're looking for history this year in horse racing.
I'm going to bet against it. let's put the bet down now for me, okay? I would bet against the Triple Crown because it's going to work out for the most part. You know, look how long it took for the Triple Crown to happen between like 78 to 2015. And then, of course, bang, bang, it happened just about 3 years later in 2018 with Justify. But it's such a tough thing to do. Not tougher than baseball, though, by the way, because, you know, what'd you have? Look at how much gap did you have since Ted Williams won the Triple Crown up until, you know, so I still think baseball Triple Crown is the toughest thing to win. But, you know, I mean, obviously, when you win the Derby, you're the one that has a chance, and the litmus test always comes in the Preakness to see was it just a fluke at the Derby, like we saw with Rich Strike and with Mage and with last year Mystic Dan, or is this a horse that's really going to hold up? And no Derby horses won the Preakness since 2018 when Justify did it, and, of course, went on to the Triple Crown. So betting the odds, you'd say no matter who wins the Derby, odds are against them to win the Triple Crown.
Kenny, we have, you know, and obviously Mystic Dan winning it last year, and the trainer Kenny McPeak. He actually has a double-digit shot in here, a little bit longer. You know, Dwayne Lucas in there with a double-digit shot as well. Of maybe a longer shot to surprise us. You mentioned Rich Strike upwards of 80 to 1. I mean, that's that lottery ticket that everyone would love to hit. But anyone that you could see perhaps surprising us here come Saturday night?
Well, you know, I don't think we're going to have that. I think maybe you might have like an American Promise could step up. What is he now, like 20-something to 1, I think? You know, maybe him. Rendering Judgment, I know Kenny McPeak. We've known each other for many years. Rendering Judgment is really a sentimental horse in there. If you're a fan of the late, great country music legend Toby Keith, you'd bet $10 on him because Toby Keith owns part of this horse. And Kenny actually tried to talk him out of running the horse. But then he got the backstory that, you know, Toby Keith had done everything he ever wanted in his life except get a horse to the Kentucky Derby. And now that he has, he's running him. So, you know, it's an emotional. So he might get emotional money when people learn more about the story of Rendering Judgment. And Toby's widow, Tricia, is going to be at the track. And, you know, it would be kind of an emotional day for everybody. But if I had to pick between the two, I'm going with Lucas, American Promise. You know, after last year, after he won the Preakness, American Promise, I think, will have a pretty good career, maybe the rest of the way, too. He's still a young horse that's growing. It's a big horse. He'll be the biggest horse physically in the field. You know, he looks a little bit like, yeah, he's a linebacker out there.
By the way, Render Judgment 30 to 1 there if you want to go with the sentimental choice. I got about a minute to go here, Kenny. You know, again, you've seen everything. You're kind of anticipating what the weather's going to be like on Saturday. Do you think it's going to stick close to the script that you see outlined here on a Thursday, or can we expect chaos come race time?
Well, you never leave chaos out of the scene when you're talking about the Kentucky Derby. You know, never do it. You know, if everybody gets a clean break, if. But, you know, the thing is these horses are not used to this distance, and they'll never again run in a field where they got 19 other challengers. There's a lot of factors in there, so there are some legitimate excuses. But it's hard to get past journalism, and to me, I think Sandman's going to close really well, and then Tiz-tastic is my long shot pick, which I think like 20, 22 to 1 or something at this moment. But, you know, that's what makes the race. And then, again, if there is a 50 to 1 shot that wins, I know that Dave and Jensen will never have me back again, and I understand that.
We'd love to have you back, Kenny. Enjoy it, my friend. 24 years doing this. Fantastic, Kenny. We appreciate your time here and hopping on with us this morning.
Hey, real pleasure, guys. Anytime. Thank you.
Great stuff. Give him a follow on X. Check out the race. Kenny Rice Sports there on X, joining us here in the Progressive Guest Line. And again, our Derby Guide is out right now as well. So when you become a VSiN Pro subscriber, just $9.99 your first 30 days of VSiN Pro, you're going to get that Derby Guide. It's going to include our daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, and so much more. So sign up today, VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Really enjoyed that conversation. We are back with more in our best bets next here at VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis. Great conversation with Kenny Rice. That was fantastic. You can hear the excitement 24 years in of being there in Churchill Downs, getting ready to do what he does for NBC Sports. So, again, cannot wait for the Derby. You were mentioning that the Derby guide obviously is out for VSiN Pro subscribers and how detailed it is. So if you're a novice and you just want a little action, Jensen, that's the place to go. And, again, if you don't want to play just the short shot journalism 3-1, there's so many different other wagering options out there that are detailed in this betting guide.
Adam Burke and the entire contributing crew who put it together, it's phenomenal. And again, highly recommend if you are a novice, even if you're a seasoned horse bettor, it is a great breakdown no matter what budget you have. If you want to just have a little flutter on it, or if you know what you're doing, you want to put a bankroll down, it is a great breakdown overall. Can't wait to see it on Saturday night. We
cannot emphasize it enough. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe right now for that betting guide. Absolutely spectacular. We are officially on Sammy Watch because Sammy Valimaki is right now just one off the lead of Bryce Garnett. And the reason why I bring this up, Kelly Bidwin's going to be on next year. We got a numbers game coming up with Gil Alexander. 80-1 first-round leader.
Oh, really? Oh,
so,
wow.
Like we're talking about horses. If you can get out there and run, Sammy, run.
Yeah.
Like, just what do you got to run to? 7 under? I think if you can get to 6, 7, you feel like you're in that ballpark. And again, there are certain places, and I know Kelly knows about them, where you can go and live bet the first-round leader. So let's say if Sammy can be that pace car for you and you got a ticket out there, and we haven't even had Scotty Scheffler tee off yet, Jensen, not a bad way to go. If you can get one of your guys to get out there front, maybe cover some bases if you think Scotty is still going to be Scotty, and the betting market suggests that here at the CJ Cup at the Byron Nelson as the shortest shot. You don't see short shots under $3, and then the next betting favorite's 18-1 in Jordan Spieth. So there's a huge chasm there in the middle. Just saying, if you have one of those type of tickets, maybe you have a Bryce Garnett ticket. I don't. But if you do, and you want to say, man, can he hold on? Maybe that's not a bad way to cover some bases if you think Scotty's going to be Scotty. Without further ado, though, let's get to our best bets. They are brought to us by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And Jensen, Major League Baseball today, before we get to the NHL and the NBA today, you've got some plays that you do like, and we talked about it earlier, some of these leans. Possibly could we finally get some runs in the series between the Twins and the Guardians?
I do. I think, again, no official play from me on that game, but just kind of looking at where, the pitching will match up. It is weather should be okay here finally in Cleveland. Simeon Woods Richardson against Ben Lively, total of 9 right now. I do lean the over. Feel like we could get some getaway day offense for both clubs leaving town here. Cleveland will head north of the border to take on Toronto beginning tomorrow. So, this series has just been a frustration for yours truly. Just cannot get a grip on it. But I would lean the over in this contest this afternoon.
We had Greg Peterson on in hour number 1, and Greg is going to be on the Reds today in a bounce back spot against St. Louis. We are on the Reds for the next month, essentially. Andrew Abbott's going to be taking the bump here. And they are small favorites against St. Louis at -1.20. Do we get off to a 1-0 start today, Jensen?
Let's hope. I mean, Andrew Abbott, come on now. Let's go. Get it going. We get Hunter Green tomorrow hosting the Nationals. So that's a great start to that series. So would love nothing more than you talk about rabbits there in golf. Man, would love to see the Reds just get back to their winning ways here at Great American Launching Pad this afternoon. So weather should be fine. Let's see some runs finally from this Reds offense. Dear Lord, it was hard to watch yesterday.
Another team that you're looking at, I know you also have a ticket on the Mets, and you have a ticket on Seattle for the best record here in the month of May. Kodai Senga is going to be on the bump here against Zach Gallen. This is a really good pitching matchup that we're going to have early here in New York City. Right now, Mets are $1.66 favorites over the D-backs, plus $1.40. Arizona got them yesterday, 4-3 there. What do you make of Senga? And again, we talked about him in context for Cy Young, as well as he's pitched so far this year.
I think I make more of, Dave, that Zach Gallen has been very pedestrian. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was challenging for the National League Cy Young just a year or so ago. It has not been an easy start for him thus far in 2025. So let's hope Kodai Senga continues his dominance, especially at Citi Field. The offense has been very solid. Big series finale there at Citi Field this afternoon.
And again, earlier, if you're with us, Daily Diamond, you're looking at Tyler Mahle here for the Rangers against Jeffrey Springs of the A's. is right now. Rangers minus $1.48 there. If you want to take them on the run line, it's plus $1.40. You do like Tyler, though, to have a big day today.
Yeah, Tyler Malley, over 17.5 outs recorded, minus $1.20 at DraftKings. Also like Marcus Semien, 2 or more hits, RBI runs. That's also a minus $1.20. He's actually kind of taken off here in the last 4 to 5 games. Bruce Bochy doing a little lineup reconstruction, if you will, sliding him back a little bit. But a guy who has had good history against Jeffrey Springs. So I like both those leans this afternoon as well.
Let's get to the NBA here tonight. Closeout spot potentially for the Knicks on the road in Detroit, but they are 2-point dogs, seeing about a point and a half here, maybe a half-point adjustment coming in here. What do you make of the Pistons tonight? And I know you already have them in pocket laying the 2. You think we're going to see a Game 7?
I do. And again, if you're looking at just strictly the data right now at VSiN.com, 40% of the bets, 73% of the handle on the Pistons, minus 1.5. Do have them in pocket at minus 2. I was thinking school of Matt Humans and just taking the money line that you can still get at $1.20 there at Circa. But again, I think we have the same urgency here with the Pistons that we saw with the Rockets. Now, do they come out and shoot 69% in the first half the way the Rockets did? I would love that. But I do feel that we get a decision from Tom Thibodeau. How long and how far is he going to press the starters in the second half if this game is close to try and get this series wrapped up?
You know, I'm looking at the series price here, and right now with the Pistons being 1.5, 2-point favorites here to force a Game 7, right now, Detroit is plus 380. Now, the double chance on the Knicks, you'd have to lay 5-1, minus 500 here for the Knicks to win this series. Would you entertain the thought of Detroit at plus 380 with that ticket already in pocket that we believe we're going to see a Game 7 after tonight?
Okay, so if they're $1.20, $1.22 now, would you put them, like, what would be the spread for you going back? Would you put them at about plus 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll probably see 5.5, somewhere in that vicinity.
So you're about even then. Then if you just do that idea, it'd be about a plus $1.80 on the money line. So you're about plus 410. If you just want to roll over, those kind of money lines, that would be the payout if you did that strategy.
That's why that sometimes that rollover is better than what they're offering you right now here, plus 380 to win that series. NHL, let's get to some of these picks that we have in the night on ice. Boy, this Avalanche and Stars series has been, I think, maybe a lot of upheaval here for what a lot of people thought might happen here. Stars can close it out tonight, but you're going to go with the Avs and roll with Colorado to force a Game 7.
I got to go back. You know what? I just love misery. I just want to keep going puck lines, and I'm again. I know it's been a tough stretch, and that's fine. We revel in our victories. We also just pick ourselves up by our bootstraps in defeat. One time, Colorado, just do what you're supposed to do. Okay, so I got them on the puck line plus $1.42. It's down to plus $1.40 here on DraftKings. You see it about a plus $1.35, and they're at Circa. The other one for me, and I think you and I now were maybe have not some FOMO, Dave, but boy, Edmonton.
Absolutely FOMO.
Yeah, so I'm kind of excited that we are where we are at this point. I did jump on them on the puck line plus $1.60, so maybe we get the double dip today, and finally the Avs and the Oilers do what they're supposed to do.
And again, it's why we did it when they were down 0-2. Even though we didn't play it, we said here, hey, if you want, this is the opportunity now, because again, no team, it just held serve at that point.
Yeah.
Well, now Edmonton's broken serve by winning in LA and can close this out tonight. But again, you would think if you're Edmonton, yes, you've already won in LA. You'd like to get this done tonight, and you get this thing done, you win the last 4 after being down 0-2. All of a sudden, Edmonton, if they get any goaltending like they got in Game 5, they're going to be a real dangerous out. Minus $1.66 here on that puck line is plus $1.60 if you like Edmonton to get this done. And we're back to those 6.5 totals here, Jensen, for this one for Edmonton and LA, expecting some offense tonight north of the border. G-Bank is up in the ante right now, up to $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from opening up their account, they're going to get a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50K on gaming and sports app loads within the first 30 days of opening up that account, you're going to get another $500 bonus. That's potentially $750 in total. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions, they do apply. All right, Jensen, Thursday, we got a big Friday show to get to tomorrow. And again, on it, we're going to have Lou Finicaro. He's going to be with us as well to break down the UFC card. And Thomas Gable will be back with us at the Borgata as well. Don't go anywhere. A numbers game, Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidlin. That is next here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.